Well, welcome to Around the Galaxy, the Star Wars fan talk show. I'm your host, Pete Fletzer. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. If you're watching us live, well, you're a patron, so thank you so much for joining us, and thanks for being a part of the Around the Galaxy family. If you are seeing this clip somehow, you've gotten access to the link illegally, join the patron program. Don't do that. That's not cool. No, I'm kidding. If you're seeing this, if I've made it publicly available, join our Patreon program. It's for as little as $3 a month. You can be a part of these conversations every single week. And every week, I am so fortunate to be able to bring you conversations with all kinds of different Star Wars fans, everything from people who are behind the scenes and making it, to actors, to authors, to online super fans and social media folks. And this week, trivia masters. Oh my goodness. This week, I am very excited to bring you a conversation with Marie Wilson. Marie has dethroned the very famous Alex Damon twice at DragonCon, most recently a couple weeks ago down there in Atlanta. So we're going to talk to her about that. And, we may even be able to take some trivia questions from some of our patrons who are with us tonight. So without further ado, let me bring in Marie. Marie, how are you doing?
I'm great. Doing wonderful.
Well, congratulations on your recent victory. It's 2 years in a row, right? At DragonCon?
Yeah. Thank you so much.
So I'll start with that question. Like, how long does it take to prepare you for DragonCon or any Star? Because you're also a member of the Schmodown competition as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I started, my first DragonCon was in 2017, 17, 18, 19, 20. Yeah, 2017 was my first DragonCon. And on a lark, I was like, oh, there's a Star Wars trivia competition. And so I went and participated and got in the top 10.
Yeah.
And that was amazing. And then I started my blog and started really focusing and honing in. And it took until 2020 for me to win.
Yeah.
So it took 3 years for me to be able to actually get to the very top.
It's a commitment, kids. That's what we're saying. It's not,
Yeah.
You can't just show up and do it. It's funny because the last couple of years, DragonCon has posted publicly their entry questions, the test that you have to take to qualify. And listen, I consider myself a major Star Wars nerd. I get through question number 3 and I'm like, I can't do this. I feel like, have I even heard of Star Wars? I mean, these questions. So how long have you been a fan so that you have this sort of deep knowledge? Let's start there. What was your sort of your introduction to Star Wars and when did it become a part of your life?
Yeah. So I was 10 years old. So that would have been 96 when I first saw Star Wars. And my parents showed it to me. They were like, okay, you need to watch this now. And we watched A New Hope and I was just enamored. I was like, this is incredible. And then we watched, so we watched Empire Strikes Back and the next day. And I was like, I really want Luke and Leia to get together. And my dad was like, oh, yeah, we need to watch all 3. So, so that was pretty funny. But yeah, I watched all 3 movies in the span of 2 days. And after that, I was on the back of tests. I would draw Star Wars characters. Right. And my grandparents took me to the Magic of the Myth museum exhibit at the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C. very soon after that. And I was obsessed. I loved it. And then in 99, so just a couple of years later, Phantom Menace came out. And I didn't know that it was possible to make an even better Star Wars movie. So and then Attack of the Clones came out and I was like, they made it even better. And then Revenge of the Sith, they made it even better. And I was just like, this is crazy. So that was my start in how I consumed Star Wars, just starting to be obsessed with it. But then when in 2014, when New Canon started.
Yeah.
The year before that, I had started reading some Star Wars chapter books, adult novels.
Chapter books. That's what I call it. That's what my kids call them too. So it's
Yeah,
okay.
right? I don't know why I said that.
You had like a flashback to what we were talking about when you were 10. You're like, yeah, Mom, I can read chapter books. So,
Yeah, yeah.
so you were reading some Star Wars chapter books, and everybody was
Yes.
very proud of you. Okay.
And I loved them, and I fell in love with Jason and Jaina and Jason's whole journey to become Darth Caedus, and
Mhm.
I thought it was fascinating. And then new canon happened, and at first I was livid. I was so
Mm.
upset. But then I was like, wait a second. I can start at the beginning and actually get through every single bit of canon material.
Wow. I mean, that's a great way to look at it, right? Because I mean, a couple of weeks ago, I had Scott Rifen on, and he was a major collector of all the EU books, all the
Mhm.
Legends books, and to try to catch up. I mean, he literally, I think he said he had 49 boxes of
Oof.
books once he put them into storage. I mean, so there's no way to keep up with it, but it's great to look at it as like, look, now I can start the story, right?
Exactly. So from there, I started keeping this, and I need to update it. It's been a while, but I did start an Excel spreadsheet that had every canon book I'd read, a summary, planets and characters involved, or planets and species involved. And so I kept up with that to try to keep track of everything. So I was going through a really hard time when new canon started.
Yeah.
So it was actually really, really good for my mental health, which was really cool.
Yeah. Now you were doing that without a thought of going into trivia
Yeah.
contest, right? You were
Yeah.
just like that was, that was the way you approached the stories. That's
It was
really
just a fun way for me to consume it for sure.
yeah, yeah. So what was the first book? Was it the Chuck Wendig book? The was it Aftermath?
Wow, gosh. I can't oh, mm,
It might have been the Rebels book. Was
it may have been A New Dawn.
yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember. I can tell you the very first canon book with a queer character.
Okay.
That would be Lords of the Sith, but which was
That's
one of the
canon.
very
That's
first
right. I
ones.
always forget that that's canon. I always think that that was like right on that edge of, well, it was probably right on the edge of one between the EU and the canon switchover. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And actually, I did remember the very first bit of canon literature was the Dark Horse Son of Dathomir comic series with Darth Maul.
Right. Wow. Wow. Great stuff. And so now do you do the same thing with the comic books? Do you keep track of planets and that sort of thing? And yeah.
But now I think the reason why I've kind of slacked off from my spreadsheet is because I do have my review blog. So all the information is on
Right.
my blog and I can just search it and find whatever I want. So
And do you so so let's talk a little bit about, like, you were a bit upset about all the Star Wars that had been sort of erased, right? And I get
yeah.
that, and it's funny. I think that that's of all the sort of I don't want to say negativity, but of all the challenges that come when people point out, hey, Star Wars took away my whatever. Um, I think that that's a very valid point, but I'd love to get your, because nobody. I mean, geez, you won the DragonCon championship. Do you see Star Wars now through Disney Plus and the stories that are coming together? Are you starting to see what? And somebody who didn't read as much of that stuff, I'm starting to see. Looks like they're trying to pull some of those story elements in. Some are more obvious, like with Thrawn. I mean, that's obviously a pull. But are you seeing other story elements coming in?
Yeah. Like for example, Jackson.
Yeah.
I can't believe they brought the green bunny rabbit back. That's pretty funny.
Right.
But I mean, there are a few things, but I really like how the things that they are bringing back, that they're reshaping it to fit the current story
Right.
rather than just like, for example, at DragonCon, there was a woman who walked up to me and asked me if the rumors that Mara Jade was coming back were true. And I was like, I don't know about all that. I haven't even really heard anything about that.
Right.
But that would be a really strange thing to currently include.
Mm-hmm.
But it's possible they could do it in a way that would fit the current story, just making her a different character,
Right.
but physically and personality the same. So that, I think that's cool that they've done that. They've, like, Thrawn is still Thrawn. It's
Right.
just in a different place in the timeline.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, I mean, I'm even seeing it. I think for anybody who isn't happy about the way that happened, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, I totally understand that. Like, if I understand the commitment and everything that went into that, but I love sort of the way Filoni and Favreau and the entire story group are sort of throwing these little breadcrumbs in. I mean, and things that you have to, it has dawned on me recently that the echo chamber of Star Wars fans, those that go in costume to DragonCon, those that hang out on Twitter, those that have blogs and podcasts like you and I, we're a very special sort of breed in that we are like consumed by it. But if you look, you'll find things like, if you look at the art for the final episode of Bad Batch, it was called Mount Tantus, and all of a sudden you're like, I know what that's from. I know where that's coming from. And so I love that they're kind of giving the things to the fans from a different perspective that doesn't change the way new fans, if you will, get accustomed to it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wild. Cool. So let's talk a little bit about trivia. And how do you, it's funny. I was going back, and about a year and a half ago, I had Alex Damon on, and we were talking about prep, how he preps for these trivia contests. How do you do it? How do you go about it? How do you prepare?
I have thousands of flashcards.
Okay.
Thousands. And luckily, one of my best friends introduced me to the idea that I could download an app that has a flashcard app. So that was very helpful because I was carrying around bags and bags of paper flashcards. So now I have it all organized, and the app that I use, I can mark it as learned, and then you can select to have it not show the ones that you've learned.
Mm-hmm.
So it's extremely useful. That's been a huge, huge help. But part of what I do, for example, with Clone Wars, so many clones. Right. So many different things that they all did and different missions they were all involved in. So I would watch an episode of Clone Wars and comb through it to be like, okay, what clone is the most important in this episode and what did they do? Mm-hmm. And would make a flashcard based on that. So that was actually why I won last year, because the question was, who dropped the electroproton bomb on Malastare that awoke the Zilla Beast? And that was a flashcard that I had made for that episode. It's Goji. So that was super exciting. Actually, so when I was doing the virtual competition last year, I didn't have a whiteboard yet. Now I have one because of Schmodown, but I didn't have a whiteboard at the time. So I was writing on pieces of paper. And so the piece of paper that has Goji written on it, I framed it with the flashcard. So it's like, this is why I won.
The system works. The system works.
Yeah. So I also, of course, go through the visual guides because there's so much from the visual guides, and that is included in DragonCon trivia and now Schmodown trivia.
Okay.
For example, I'm going to be very vague with this because it hasn't been released publicly yet. It's only been released to patrons. But there was a match that was a Star Wars match, Schmodown. And there was a question that everyone thought was impossible, and I knew the answer. And I knew the answer because I had written flashcards based off of the most obscure things possible in the visual dictionaries.
Now, so for those that aren't familiar with Schmodown, tell us a little bit about what Schmodown is.
So Schmodown is a sports entertainment show that involves trivia. And there's a singles division, which is just movies in general, teams division, which is movies in general, inner geekdom, which is self-explanatory, and Star Wars, which is also self-explanatory. And I'm in the Star Wars division. And there are currently 8 factions with 12 people on each faction, and we're all competing for points. And it is so much fun. It's been a blast getting involved with the Schmodown and meeting a variety of new people. It's been really great. I was super bummed I didn't get to be in the current tournament. That was sad, but my faction mate is in the tournament and she's fantastic. So that's exciting.
Yeah, it's great because it's almost like professional. It's very much like professional wrestling, except trivia. So instead of like beating the crap out of somebody, you just mentally beat the crap out of them by knowing more about something they should know about, right? Or they think they should. And Schmodown is more. Is that more based on film and television?
Yeah, so Schmodown is the 12 Star Wars movies. That includes the Clone Wars movie. So it's those 12, just movies, but the questions have gotten super, super deep. Okay. So you have to read the visual dictionaries if you're going to get anywhere. Whereas, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and then DragonCon is going from there. Yeah.
DragonCon is everything.
Yeah.
So DragonCon is all the novels, all the comics, even Forces of Destiny had a question.
Wow.
Like it's everything. So that's the blog has been incredibly useful for that. Just because when things come up that are just weird random trivia things that I'm like, I might need to know this. I have a little section that I'll put in my review that just says trivia. And then I'll outline the different trivia things.
Do you find that you read and write or read and watch Star Wars differently now that like this has become your like the thing that you do, this is your thing now. Do you watch it differently? Like I know like as a musician on the side who wants to be, want to be a musician, I listen to music differently. I know that I listen to it differently than other people because I'm listening for things. Can you sit back and watch a new episode of The Mandalorian and enjoy it like purely as you used to, or do you look at it very differently now?
Well, I have to watch every episode twice now because I do try to enjoy it the first time. And then, because I don't write my reviews of the TV shows the day of, I write them the next week. So that gives me time to just enjoy the episode the first time I watch it. And then I'll watch it back a second time as I write the review.
Got it. And then you're taking your notes and you're picking up on things and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say with the comics, it depends on how my day looks and just how things are going, what I have to do. But sometimes when I read the comics, I'll write the review as I read the comic. So I'll make notes as I read. And then I use a Kindle now instead of hard copy books because I can highlight as much as I want.
So it's like investigative journalism for you when you read these books.
Yeah. Because I'm always like, oh, is that going to be important? Oh, that looks like important trivia. And I'll highlight it.
Now, have you, what's your favorite sort of Star Wars content? And then I'll ask you, what's your favorite Star Wars era?
Okay. So favorite Star Wars content. I'm actually going to say right now the young adult novels. Because you've got oh gosh. It's the book everybody loves with the I'm getting it mixed up with her new book. Claudia Gray,
Oh,
Lost Stars?
yeah, Lost Stars. Everybody loves that, and they also
Lost Stars.
have Princess of Alderaan, of course.
Yeah, that's
Yep,
another great young adult
yep,
novel.
yep.
And then you've got the newest one, Out of the Shadows, which ties with my other favorite current my other current favorite Star Wars book, which is actually a junior reader, so for middle school, Pirate's Price.
Okay. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's cool. So that's now. Would you consider that a chapter book? No.
Yeah.
It's a. If it doesn't have as many pictures, it's a chapter book. So your favorite Star Wars sounds like it's the books. Is
Oh
that
yeah,
yeah?
for sure. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I love the TV shows,
Mm-hmm.
but a book you can carry in your purse with you.
Mm-hmm.
You can have it wherever you are and just get completely immersed however you want. And they last longer too.
Yeah.
Because the TV show's only 30 to 45 minutes and it's
Right.
over.
Yep.
So, but when it comes to, well, I'm trying to think if it was the movies versus the TV shows. I might choose the TV shows just because I love Clone Wars so much.
Yeah. Yeah. Clone Wars is it's so, and it's almost like I could see why you could put that sort of hand in hand with novels because there's so much going on.
Mhm.
You have I don't even know how many episodes. Was it 7 seasons, 20 something episodes per other than season 7 and 6, and so you're talking 150 plus episodes.
Yeah.
So 75 hours of content. That's a bunch of books. So that's
Yeah.
yeah, and it's funny because I didn't appreciate Clone Wars when it first hit. I was kind of in that sort of Star Wars lull. It came out on Cartoon Network, and I was kind of like, yeah,
Mhm.
it's not my thing. And then, I really got back into Clone Wars when my son got into it, and it was perfect timing because all this other stuff is now so connected. Do you
Yeah.
find, as somebody who's an expert in all the Star Wars details, when
Mhm.
things like, for example, in Bad Batch, the first season or first episode, and Kanan's there, and
Oh
his
gosh.
lightsaber was the wrong color. Like, does that drive you crazy, or does it make you go like, what's the right answer now?
Yeah, so the thing that drove me, because like immediately I went back to that comic
Hmm.
and that happened in, and I read through it, and what irritated me the most was that the conversation between Kanan and Depa Billaba didn't happen,
Mm,
because that conversation was all about the Jedi's role in the galaxy.
hmm.
And I thought it was a very important character development moment for Kanan.
Hmm.
And that frustrated me.
Yeah.
But yeah, the little things, they definitely, I'm like, wait a second. And then like with Clone Wars, when Maul and Ahsoka, and I was like, but that's already been covered.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, E.K. Johnston was probably like, what are you guys doing? Like,
Yeah. And then, people are talking about with the Andor series, they want to see K2SO and Cassian meet. And I'm like, but that already happened in a
yeah.
comic book. So, and it was a whole one shot. Like, it's
Yeah.
not like it was one in a whole bunch in a series. It was a specific one shot for that event.
Mm.
And I'm like, that would be so sad if
Do you
they
think that
changed it.
one of the things I've talked about with nerdy friends of mine is that you sort of have this hierarchy of content, and I'd love
Hmm.
your perspective on it. It seems like films, of course, are it. I mean, even Matt Martin said on Twitter the other day that if I think that his quote was something to the effect of, if it's a novel that's describing the events that happened in the movie verbatim, then the book is canon, and then it feels like, so it's like TV, it's like movies, TV, books, comic books. I think that's kind of like, if they're gonna fudge something, that's kind of the hierarchy. Do you think I have that right, or?
Yeah, I agree. I think
Yeah.
that's probably the way they see it. But you'd think that with okay. So little golden books.
Hmm.
Those or no, wait, no. Okay. Well, those do some weird stuff too. But this is the one that I was really thinking about. The graphic novel adaptations of the movies.
Hmm.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
They are so bad.
Even
It's so
recently.
wrong. It's so wrong.
Yeah.
Like they'll do my reviews of the my reviews of the graphic novel adaptations are
Yeah.
like half what was wrong or what was skipped over that doesn't make any sense why it was skipped over. And I'm
Right.
just like, why?
Do you find it's hard to enjoy it sometimes, or is it just like, or can you put yourself in a headspace of this is a different telling of the same story, or
I try and like I do enjoy the graphic novel adaptations.
right?
I just and one of them, the most recent one that came out, the Phantom Menace one, I when I started reading it, I was like, okay, I'm not going to focus on what they're missing. And halfway through, I was like, darn.
I've been focusing on it.
Yeah. So it was like, oh well. But I mean, I try to remember that different people remember things differently.
Right.
So, if different people remember things differently, then different tellings are going to remember them differently.
Right. Yeah.
So, all from a certain point of view.
Yeah, I mean, Star Wars kind of threw all that right out the window when Obi-Wan said that, right? Well, what I said was, yeah, and it's funny. I think if if that was to happen in the sequel trilogy, if somebody said from a certain point of view, I think people would have flipped out. But it happened in the second story or third story, so we're okay with it. We can kind of live with that. But oh wow! So of all the Star Wars content that we know is coming, what are you most excited to see?
Oh man. Um I am really enjoying the High Republic.
Hmm.
So, I think the next I don't know what they call it, wave, phase, whatever it is.
Hmm.
The next grouping of books to come out, I'm super excited about that to see where everything's headed.
Yeah, I have not been as close to High Republic as I would like. And to your point, and I think Nick said it in the chat as well, I I kind of have in the back of my mind like I'm going to be able to start High Republic and stick with it. It's sort of like when um it's a really bad example, but when Breaking Bad came out, I like ended up like 3 seasons behind. I was like, forget it. I eventually got to it like 10 years after everybody else did, but um I kind of feel that way with High Republic. Do you think that High Republic is going to appear or influence any of the more mainstream? If you, I hate to call it mainstream because it feels like what I'm doing is I'm putting books in different, but I don't think there's any way to kind of deny that. Like the books are
Yeah.
definitely very niche. Do you think that we'll
Yeah.
see High Republic influence the stories, the current stories, or any newer stories?
Well, from what I understand, Acolyte is supposed to have some sort of connection.
Yeah.
So, that upcoming TV show, whenever it comes out.
Right.
But other stuff, well, actually in the comics, High Republic stuff is littered throughout the comic books.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like for example, in the current Star Wars run, they have Starlight Squadron, which
Okay.
is
Right.
from Starlight Beacon. In Dr. Aphra, there have been ships that have been shown
Mm.
that are High Republic ships. And there was an artifact that Aphra was after that was a High Republic thing. So in the comics, they've managed to infiltrate them with High Republic material.
Hmm.
So that's been really cool to see.
Yeah. I think that's a nice sort of, I feel like Star Wars really does a great job of sort of paying off people who are reading all the stuff, and it may not be a big piece of the story.
Yeah, Resistance Reborn, that novel,
Hmm.
the I guess, journey to the Rise of Skywalker
Yep.
publishing campaign. So Resistance Reborn was the biggest payoff for people that read everything and even that play the video games. Like that book had stuff from novels and comic books and video games and everything.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Yeah, I mean, even like Shriv was in it, who came from Battlefront 2, when you had planets that appeared in Clone Wars, and you
Yeah.
had, yeah, that's I actually I really did enjoy that one, and any story that's got that much Poe is a lot of fun anyway. You get that, so he's, he's really good. So you have, I mean, your one of your YouTube channel is called Afra's Artifacts. We
Mhm.
have, there's some great photos of you dressed as Afra. What is it about Afra that you love so much and that you associate with?
Well, first, I of course love that she's queer, so it's nice to have a queer character that I can enjoy and feels like she's a good friend.
Mm.
She is always fun, but the coolest thing about her is that you never know what she's going to do next.
Right.
Never.
Yeah.
So I just love the fact that she is so unpredictable
Yeah.
and it makes for an incredible story. And the current Dr. Aphra run is by Alyssa Wong is phenomenal. Like I can't believe that Alyssa Wong is able to write a character that she did not come up with
Hmm.
so well.
Yeah. It's one of the interesting things, I think, and I'm waiting for Dr. Afra to catch on, and I'm hoping that she get, and I say catch on, I mean, again, among that sort of smaller group of very focused Star Wars fans, she's a household name. Even me, who doesn't read a lot of comics, I'm familiar with her story, and what I've read I've loved. I mean, people say, she's the Indiana Jones of Star Wars, which is, I think, in a way, it's nice to say, but it's also like, yeah, she's more than that, right? So
Yeah.
but I would love to see her get a Disney Plus show or something like that. What are your thoughts on that? And who would you have play her, now that I've thrown that out there?
Oh goodness. I'm not good with casting
I know
thoughts.
trivia. I don't know actors. Don't
Um,
worry.
well, for Schmodown, I had to learn a whole bunch of actors.
Okay.
So I actually know some pretty obscure actors now. But but I'm not sure who I would get to play her. But I I also I think it would be really, really great for her to have a Disney Plus show. I think it would be an incredibly fun show.
Hmm.
And another thing about her is just that she's so confident and self-assured even when she's in situations that are dire as all get out.
Yeah.
She she's so smart. She's so creative about coming up with solutions to deal with these bad situations. And I think
Hmm.
that part of it's really fun too.
Do you think? And I'll tell you my only issue, and I don't. I'm not trying to be negative, but my only issue with Dr. Afra is that she's too close to like the Vader story, and it feels a
Mm.
little bit. And I think that would be a challenge for a Disney Plus show. Do you agree with that sentiment, or do you?
Well, I would say that definitely at first. And she does have, as we've seen in the recent issues, some serious PTSD when it
Yeah.
comes to Vader. Like that was one of the most incredible collection of panels in a comic book I've seen, where she saw Vader at the Crimson Dawn auction for Han
Hmm.
and immediately like was everything was a different color
Mm.
and she was flashing back, and I mean she full on panic attack.
Yeah.
So there is that, but she has gotten away from her actual story isn't very
Right.
connected to Vader anymore.
Yeah. And I think that's what I think that would be why I think it'd be great to give her a Disney Plus show, because we don't know how her story ends. Like I think that's
Yeah.
one of the challenges with comic books for me is, like, yeah, I know where this is going to go. I don't know how it's going to get there, and that's where the
Mhm.
fun is, right? It's like on a roller coaster, you know, you're going to go up and down, you're going to go around, but you don't know exactly what's going to happen. So that's kind of what the comics do. But
Yeah.
for Afra, literally anything can happen. Like if they did a series with her, anything could come to life in her story, and I think that that would be
Yeah.
very interesting. And I also think it would be just an appealing story to have in the Star Wars universe, somebody who's got two crazy droids and just this wild adventure lifestyle, and just and to your point, also a different form of representation, which would be
Yeah.
fantastic.
That
But
would be amazing. Getting a queer character in, live action would be fantastic.
yeah,
Because all we've got so far is Daisy and Tice, their kiss
right.
in Rise of Skywalker, and that's it. Now in animation, we do have Flix and Orca,
Hmm.
but Flix and Orca aren't humans, so people, don't. To me, I still think it's good representation because they're
Yeah.
an amazing, like, old married couple.
Right.
I love them so much, but to a lot of people, that's not enough representation. So it
Yeah.
would be great to have a live action human character.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that would be great. And again, I think it really hurt. It lends itself to sort of being a great kind of serialized story that doesn't have to have galactic implications. It could be just kind
Yeah.
of a fun show week to week. What's just like the comic? What is she getting into now? Like, what trouble is she getting in? And the book was fantastic as well. That uh,
Yeah.
who wrote it? Why can't I remember her name?
I can't remember
I
either.
don't know, but it was a great book.
It was really another cool thing about Afra is she digs into the past.
Yeah.
So we learn all this crazy lore, like the Ordu Aspectu and all these different
See, now
and
you're
the
talking another language to me. I don't know
veil.
what that.
Well, just ancient stuff,
Yeah.
like artifacts that she's found and different places she's found that are super ancient, and we learn all this crazy lore
Yeah.
that doesn't really have an effect on anything, but it's fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think again, that gives you that opportunity to tell different stories. And all right, let's pitch it. You and I, we're after this call, we're gonna write it out, we're gonna pitch it to Disney, and they're gonna say, yeah, we already thought of that, we're ready to go. So yeah, I do want to hit you with some trivia questions though, if you don't mind. So here's an interesting factoid about me. I actually wrote 200 Star Wars trivia questions for the Amazing Science Fiction Horror Trivia Game. This was my dad's company back in 1994, I think. And so I found some of the questions, and they're awful because back then we only had 3 movies. And so I'm going to just for fun, I'll throw a couple at you, and then I have some tougher ones. And then what I'm going to do is, if you don't mind, I'm going to put a link into the chat. We have a couple people with us, not a lot. We have a handful, and if they want to join us, and now the only caveat is if you're going to ask a question, you have to have the answer. We can't. I, I've been with people before, and they're like, "Cool, you know Star Wars. I got a great trivia question for you. What's blah blah blah?" And I'll be like, "Oh, that's a good one. What is it?" And they're like, "Oh, I don't know." And that's not trivia. That's like asking for information. So I just put the link in the chat if people want to join us. I'm literally just pulling questions here from the game, and they're awful. But again, it was 25 years ago. You had just seen Star Wars when this game came out, so they weren't bad then. Okay, and I know you're gonna know all the answers, but just for fun, what's the name of Lando's co-pilot in the attack of the Death Star and Return of the Jedi? And I even gave like A, B, and C options here. All right.
Me and Nub.
And we spelled it wrong. I'm looking here. We spelled it wrong. That's nice. Okay. Although the Emperor doesn't use a lightsaber in Return of the Jedi, he attacks Luke Skywalker and almost kills him. How does he do this?
Force lightning.
Of course. Like, who was it? If you know, honestly, I think even people who've never seen Star Wars know the answers to this one. Okay, true or false? In Return of the Jedi, Anakin Skywalker was played by Robert Shaw.
False.
Right, Sebastian Shaw. So I think we were trying to do a little trick question there. Okay, I'll just ask one more, and then I'll ask you because I did find some really good Star Wars trivia questions that I want to ask you. This is the last one. Attack of the Jedi, Revenge of the Jedi, or Jedi Showdown. Which title was originally planned for the third Star Wars movie?
Revenge of the
Right.
Jedi.
All right. So, clearly, but I had to come up with 200 of those, and there was only 3 movies, and I didn't use the books, and I didn't. So, it's really funny. I was very very happy with those. Okay. All right, so Michael Nip who actually was very excited to see you here. His
He's
question for you.
fantastic.
His question is, in Empire Strikes Back, what are the last 2 words we hear Major Derlin say? Now he hasn't put the answer in, so
Dang. Last 2 words.
yeah.
All I'm thinking are the shield doors must be closed. I'm not. What? I don't know.
It's let's go.
Oh, okay.
Excellent. Good. Yeah, that's a good one. And you know what? You're gonna win Schmodown with that one. That's gonna come back. You're gonna be so glad Michael Nip asked you that question. That's good.
I love it.
Nick from Podcast The Will says Vader's chest plate has some writing on it. What language is it in, and what does it say?
Okay, it's in Hebrew.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't remember what it says.
I can't either. It's and Nick, you got to put the answer in so we know now. He probably he asked the question and went up to get a drink. We'll get the answer later. Okay, in Hebrew, it says his deeds will not be forgiven until he merits. All right.
Oh,
Interesting. Now, I've actually also heard that that's a rumor, like that's unconfirmed. But since it came from Nick from Podcast of the Wills, who treats Star Wars like a sacred text on Sunday nights, I'm going to take it for the truth. Okay, so I'm going to give you a handful more. If you're cool, if you're enjoying these trivia questions,
this is great.
I think it's good practice for you. If you win a DragonCon, if you win a third DragonCon in a row, I'm going to definitely take some credit for it because I'm sure it's a year away, so this is great. Okay, there's a very important Jedi that is key in the prequel trilogy, but never appears in it and has his name changed by a typo in Attack of the Clones because the F and the D keys are not next to each other. Who is it?
Is it Sifo Dyas?
It is, and according to this, his name was supposed to be Sifo Dyas.
Interesting.
Yeah, a mispronunciation of Sidious.
Oh. Huh.
Which would have changed the story completely if it was Sidious that ordered the clones.
So, an interesting little tidbit. In 2019, I was again in the top. I was in the top 5, so I got better. I was in the top 5 DragonCon trivia, and a picture of Sifo Dyas was the question. So, who is this? And I got it right, but guess what I forgot?
What?
The hyphen.
Oh, you had to write it.
We had whiteboards. Yeah, sorry.
We had whiteboards. Okay.
And we had to write the name. And I wrote Sifo Dyas, but didn't put a hyphen. And so I got knocked out. And I was like, no.
So your typo and Lucas's typo have had major impacts on each other's lives. That's all right, we have another one from Nick, and he says, how many dewbacks were in the original theatrical release of Star Wars?
Okay. Was it just 1?
He says 2.
Okay, because 2 is what I thought it was.
Yeah. Nick between his mythical Hebrew and this questions No, I love Nick. He's like he's like my brother from another mother who I've never actually met in person, but talk to on a daily basis. So, all right, we're gonna put that one to the side. We'll do some research on that. I need some detail, and then I'm gonna come back to another question here. That sounds like this feels very much like Schmodown question. The Empire Strikes Back primarily takes place in 2 sectors. What are they?
Oh, that's good. Anawat
Mm-hmm.
and Sluis?
Yes. Wow. Yeah. I would have gotten Anuit because I remember for some reason don't they even they say that
They do.
in
They say
Empire,
it
right?
once.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
But I've seen Empire enough to know it. So but Lewis I probably would not have gotten right. Okay.
Yep.
I like this question. Name all the planets that Master Yoda has set foot on in the canonical films.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay. Coruscant,
Mm-hmm.
Dagobah,
Mm-hmm.
Naboo,
Mm-hmm.
oh
There's
gosh, Kashyyyk.
2. Yep. One more.
One more. Hmm.
You said Dagobah, Coruscant,
Kashyyyk.
Kashyyyk, Naboo, and
Are we including Force Ghost?
no, just
No.
physically foot
Okay.
down. Yes.
Huh. What? Hmm. Oh, wait. Geonosis.
Yes. Very good. Those are the kind of questions I like because they're like, there's like, yeah, you can actually like, there's a process you can go through in your head to kind of get to it. But that was pretty cool. All right, I'll give you. Here's another one that's similar to that in style. In Marvel Comics, Darth Vader finds out that he has a son from Boba Fett. Not a son from Boba Fett, because that would be a different story. Very interesting. But he found out from Boba Fett. At that moment, what 4 dead and 3 not dead characters knew that Padme gave birth? So there's 4 dead characters at the time. What's that? It's before A New Hope. At that time, 4 dead characters know that Padme survived to give birth,
Oh, okay.
and
I see what you're asking.
yeah, four characters that are dead at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Um.
And 3
Oh wait,
not
no.
dead.
So wait, it was between Empire and A New Hope, right? So that's important. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So wait, 4 dead.
4 dead, 3 not dead.
Okay. So that would be Yoda and Obi-Wan,
Mm-hmm.
Bail Organa.
Oh wait, are you doing the dead or not dead between A New Hope and Empire?
Okay, between A New Hope and Empire.
Yeah.
So I'm just listing them.
No, you know what? I'll tell you what. Why don't you list all 7 characters that know whether they're alive or dead? That's not important. There's 7.
Okay. So Yoda, Obi-Wan, Bail Organa.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. Who else?
It's a bit of a trick because of the dead and alive thing, I think.
Gotcha. This is a really good question. Who else? Oh, the mortician? I don't know his name. Is that included?
Oh no, that's not included.
Because there's a whole storyline with Dr. Afro and him.
Oh really?
Yeah. Where she finds out that yes, he does have a son, but kills the guy before he reveals that she also had a daughter.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's pretty
That's cool.
crazy. Afra's a little too impatient. So well, Afra would have been one of them too, but
She would have
that's
been.
probably not on the list.
It's not on the list.
Okay. Oh gosh.
Characters we've seen on screen.
On screen.
Yep, in movies. Movies
okay,
only.
in the movies. Movies only. Breha?
Oh no, but she would have known, but that's not that she didn't make the list. Okay, so
Gosh,
this
I keep
question
listing
stinks.
them that
You're
don't
like,
know.
you know who else would have known? There was a guy who was working on the Tantive 4 who was over. See, that's the problem asking a Star Wars trivia question to somebody like you who know. You're like, no, I'm sorry, but this is one of. I'll just give you the answer because I think it'll drive
Yeah.
you crazy. Because I think it's a fun question. So of course now Darth Vader would know at that
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
R2D2,
Okay.
Yoda, like you said, Obi-Wan, Padme. She's dead, but she would know.
Okay.
Owen Lars,
Oh, yeah.
Bail Organa, and Captain Antilles. So I'm not sure
Okay.
about the Captain Antilles thing though. Did he know, or he was on the ship? Did they? We never really know if they told him, right?
Yeah. I mean, the ship was on Polis Massa, so
Right.
you'd think that he would have figured, like, Bale would have told him what they were doing there.
Right. Yeah.
Huh.
Interesting. All right. So what I thought was a great question was not a great question. All right.
No,
It
that is
happens.
a good question.
It happens. Okay. I got another question from Nick.
Oh
Nick,
gosh.
this is your third and final chance. All right, man. So, what character? And I know this one's correct. What character is partially named after George Lucas's son?
Is that Jukasa?
You know what? Are there two characters that are named after George? This is failing miserably. This entire trivia thing is because right because the character he played in the movie, his son played was that his name? Because the character that
Yeah,
Nick
is that
said
Jukasa?
right, and Nick said Dexter Jetster because his son is Jet Lucas.
Oh,
So maybe
okay.
the question will rephrase it. What two characters are partially named after George Lucas's son? This is why also I don't write questions for DragonCon and can't answer any either. So all right, I'll give you two more and then I'll stop torturing you. Who kept the planet Iradu? Do I say that right? I always read it wrong. Eriadu.
Iriadu?
Iriadu on the side of the Republic during Clone Wars, only to become one of the Empire's top officials.
Tarkin.
Yeah, that one was too easy for you. Too easy. I mean, you read the book, so you know.
Yeah. A fantastic book, by the way.
It's one of those books like when I ask people what their favorite books are, that one comes up a lot. And I wonder if they're going to bring the Plagueis story back somehow, because I know a lot of people love that. I'm hoping that maybe Acolyte goes there. I don't know.
Me too. I'm
Yeah.
with you.
Okay, so I like this. This is another one of those questions I like, but of course, one of those two that I like just turned into a terrible mess. So let's take a risk with this last question. What human Star Wars character took 3 actors to portray him in A New Hope, but only 1 actor to portray him in Return of the Jedi? Which Star Wars character took 3 actors to portray him in A New Hope, but only 1 actor to portray him in Return of the Jedi?
Is it Wedge Antilles?
It is. Wow. That I never would have gotten that one. Yeah. So he was played by Colin Higgins, who was fired after the briefing scene. And then of course Dennis Lawson took the role. And then there was a British actor who dubbed the voice. And so that's the 3 actors there. And then I guess they just used good old Dennis himself for Return of the Jedi. So that's great. Very, very cool. So that was my failed trivia attempt. Okay, there's one more Clone Wars one I'm going to ask you here.
Ooh.
Okay, in the Clone Wars, only one named clone survives long enough. Not only one, but one named clone survives long enough to wear over 6 variants of clone armor. Who is this diversely dressed clone?
Ooh, I like the way that was worded. Um, um, mm. Goodness. I'm between a few of them. But let's see. What about I'm trying to Echo?
No,
No.
not according to this.
Okay.
According to this, it's Wolf.
Oh,
He had,
interesting.
and they list them here: Phase 1 Wolfpack
Mhm.
Maroon, Wolfpack Blue, Blue Cold Assault Trooper, Wolfpack Black Design, Black Cold Assault Armor, Phase 2 Wolfpack Gray, and then Heavy Sand Armor. See? There you go. Now,
Very cool.
I would love to say that I would have known any of these answers, but sadly, I think I might have gotten the Sifo-Dyas one just because I was always trying to figure out where he came from and why he didn't get more time in the movies. But
There's so much story there that it's like,
yeah,
come on.
yeah, yeah. In fact, it was one of the reasons I don't know if you know, I wrote a fan fiction novelization of the Phantom
Yeah.
Menace, and Sifo-Dyas is like one of the main characters of the story because to me, like his decision to do that or his, just because of what we do know from canon is, he believed that, they needed to build the army and all this stuff, like to try to put that story together. It would be such an interesting story.
Oh yeah,
But
for sure.
but yeah. So Marie, this was a blast. I'm sorry the trivia didn't work out as well as we would have liked, but
It
um
was fun.
so
It's always
where
fun.
where can people find you on the interwebs?
So you can find me on Twitter at Alia Morgaine, and you can find my Star Wars review blog at the Star Wars Review.blogspot.com, where I post every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And that's different than it was a few months ago. So I've kind of made some changes to make my content more reliably, posted.
Excellent.
And then Afra's Artifacts on YouTube, and new content is released every Monday, which is also different. Monday at 6 p.m. Central.
Awesome. Well, Marie, thank you so much. This has been great, and I really appreciate you spending some time. And good to meet somebody who, like, now I know, like, if I have a question, I'm calling you. Like, I'm going to text you. Be like, all right, which, well, I don't even know, because the questions that I come up with, who Luke Skywalker is shot down in the battle against the Walkers in The Empire Strikes Back, true or false? Like, if I have to call you for that, maybe I should resign from podcasting. So, but thank you. This was awesome. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. I had a great time.
Cool. Now, before I let you go, I want to get, if you wouldn't mind saying, this is Marie Wilson, and you're listening to Around the Galaxy. You can either, you can plug your thing as one of your things as well, or say DragonCon champ or whatever you want, but just bumper
Okay.
the show. Yeah.
This is Marie Wilson, DragonCon Star Wars Trivia Champion 2 years in a row, and you're listening to Around the Galaxy.
That was awesome. That was perfect. Cool. I'm going to hit end broadcast here.